We have our team here. You probably already know most of us. I'm Morgan. I'm a geo geoscientist student at Western, and I'm going into my third year. If you'll meet the rest of the team later on, unless you guys want to introduce yourself now.
We're all here. I'm Sarah. I do all the operations things at EOT, and you probably have gotten emails from me. Let me know if you need anything.
I think you all know me. Hi, everyone. Unless those of you watching the recording, I'm Rebecca, and I'm so lucky to have such a great team that's pulling all this stuff together. It's been such a great summer. I'm also
Yeah,
here
I'm
if you ever
Ben.
need anything.
I'm also here if you need anything, but only for a couple more weeks as our summer term's ending. But yeah, just going into second year of civil engineering. But it's great to be here and great to see all you. And I'm excited for this one today. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Likewise, my name's Agosa, and I am hoping to learn more and share a little bit about AI. I'm here, I guess, representing the board for EOT.
Okay, great. Today's agenda, we're gonna go over three main topics. Just an introduction to AI. And also, our second topic is how to properly use AI. A lot of people don't use AI to its fullest capabilities, and it ends up kind of biting them in the butt because they aren't properly using it. Next is how we are going to talk about AI with students and teachers, because some teachers are really against AI, and also some students really misuse AI. So that's also a very important conversation. And then we also just have a Q&A at the end. Our values, you've probably already seen this slide, but right now we're doing a lot of authentic collaboration with Igosa and the whole team, and also innovation. It's a big innovation project. So yeah, those are our values. Next is our breakout. We're getting into this fast. But I think a good chunk of people are here. So we have breakout rooms next. So we have three topics that you can choose to talk about. The first one is, what's one thing in your lesson planning that could be improved with AI? Second is, why do you think a lot of teachers and others are against AI? And third is, what strategies can you bring to prevent the overuse of AI by students? So I'm not sure who's the
Well,
leader
that's
of this.
me.
Okay.
I'm going to split us into sorry, I'm just looking at who's here and the numbers and making sure that we have a good number in each one. I'm going to split us into two breakout rooms, one with 3 people and one with 4, just because it is early in the session, so less pressure because there's going to be several people in your room with you. And yeah, think about those 2 topics, and how long do we have, Morgan, for this? How long will we give them?
Like 10 minutes. We
10
can
minutes.
also, once we're out of the breakout rooms, feel free to continue talking with the group.
Oh, we have a
Just
couple
to
more people joining as we get going here. So you know what? It's going to be 3 breakout rooms with 3 people each. Okay, we'll send you out now. You have 10 minutes. Get the juices flowing, and then we'll come back and share out, I think. Okay, here we go. I'm opening the rooms. Have fun.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Does anyone have anything they want to share with the group? Start us off. No?
Yeah,
Was anyone in the middle of a story when the room got closed and they want to finish their thought?
It's yes and no. I just finished my sentence when I got moved over.
Do you want to continue it? Feel free.
I guess what we were talking about was how we use it. So one of the group members said, and I agree, it's a good use for us as EIRs to use to leverage AI to help us with putting together lesson plans, but not actually have it do it for us, kind of like force, with lots of limitations and guidelines on it. So just do the whole thing, because AI does have a tendency sometimes to hallucinate things it doesn't know and say confidently. So I guess we have to be educated on the limitations and how to use it properly. Same thing goes for students and teachers, putting guidelines on students how to use it properly, what's appropriate and professional manners to use it. I'm trying to think of anything else that we talked about. Yeah, I guess if any of the other team members can fill in the blanks for me, that's all I can think of right now.
Great. Yeah, AI hallucinations are a big problem when prompting with AI. Like, if it doesn't know something, it's just gonna assume something or just make something up. Just I don't I don't even understand why it does that. But for some reason it's so common. Especially I use AI to study a lot, and it will just feed me incorrect information, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right. I'm I don't think that's right. And then I look it up, or I look in my textbook or something, and it's completely wrong and it just made something up. And it's so interesting to see why it does that, and like the shortfalls, and like how to prevent things like that. Anyone else have anything to add? Yes, Franco, please talk.
Yeah, I guess kind of piggybacking on that a bit too. And this was one of the things we talked about in our group too, is like for strategies for using AI is like trying to like putting rules on AI and what it can do. I know like for me too, if I'm putting together like, I'm using it to help me put together reports and stuff, sometimes I'll give it a little prompt of something basic I wanted to help me with. And AI is really ambitious, and it'll go through and spit me out like 3 pages of like, doing the whole job for me. And it's like, when you have that tool, especially as a student, and it can just spit out everything for you, then you're like, well, why wouldn't I use that? So maybe doing stuff, and sometimes I'll do this too so to prevent it from hallucinating, if I'm like, summarizing specific things or using specific documents, I'll kind of feed it all the specific information I want it to use. And then when I'm prompting it for answers, I'm like only using the information I provide you. So like, don't go looking for other information. Because then if it can't find an answer, it'll tell you like, I can't find an answer within these documents or what you provided me. Instead of just, it can't find an answer, but it wants to give you an answer. So it just goes online, Reddit threads, and, things, trying to piece things together. Because yeah, I've gotten like really mixed things where I'm searching up very specific for a product I'm using or a specific manufacturer, and then it can't find an answer, so it just looks for a different product or manufacturer that talks about the same thing.
Hmm.
So maybe like for teachers preventing overuse too, it could be things of like teaching kids how to develop rules for their AI. And that could even be projects of like, this project is you developing a set of rules that you can use when you're writing an essay. You use these rules to prevent your AI from, writing your essay for you. And then that's part of your submission with your essay, is like you have to submit the set of rules that you put on your AI to limit it, to still allow you to have like critical thinking.
Yeah, that's great. Like, we actually are gonna, in a little later, gonna talk about like using specific requirements for your AI and specific documents and prompting from that instead of just like the entire internet, because the internet is not always a truthful place. I'm sure a lot of you know that and are aware of that. Um yeah, that's really great. But yeah, coming up with projects with AI is super important, especially because of how quickly it's advancing. And it's almost if you like don't understand it or don't know how to use it, you'll be behind in your career because it's becoming such an integral part to so many companies and so much like workforce. And I've seen so many people applying to jobs using AI and things like akin to that. And I think not knowing how to use it is almost a shortfall and limiting you from things you could do or could use AI for, or use AI correctly for. If you are using it incorrectly, then it's not going to be very helpful. But if anyone else has anything to add, please feel free.
Yeah, it's BT here. I would like to share with our group discussion what we talked about. But I think Samir in our group was just about to finish their thoughts. So maybe Samir, if you want to continue your thought, then I will continue if you like.
No, I think I finished all my thoughts, but I can do a quick review of what we discussed.
Sure, if you like, sure. Go ahead.
Sure. So we answered the questions one by one, and so I think we discussed that teachers are probably against AI because a lot of students view AI as a way to get around doing their work or as a shortcut. And of course, teachers would be against this because then the student isn't doing the thinking, the student isn't learning, right? And of course, like you said, the hallucinations, if the student reads what the AI wrote, then and the AI is wrong, then the student would then carry that incorrect information with them. And some strategies to prevent the overuse of AI. When I was growing up, obviously everything was done on paper. Only now students are starting to use computers for everything. And, we even used to write essays in a short 75-minute period on paper. We used to write our code by hand on paper. And I think going back to that could help prevent the use of AI. I think some of the other guys in my room had some other ideas for that third question as well.
All right. That's, yeah, very true. My dad was talking to me about writing his code like in his exams on paper because I was taking a comp sci class this summer. And I was just like, I cannot imagine writing code on paper. Like, that's the one thing that I could not do on paper. I could totally write an essay. I've done that in my exams on paper, but code, I could not do that. Anyone else? Yeah. Yeah. Even when I was writing my essays by hand, my hand was like cramping and I'm like had like a claw by the end of it. Mm, well, if no one has anything else to say, we can move on to the next slide. Okay, we're going to be talking about AI as a tool. A lot of past EIRs have found it pretty difficult creating lesson plans that adhere specifically to like the requirements of the specific schools and the curriculums that they're following, and creating specific lesson plans for like things that the students are interested in or things that are in their grade like curriculum. So it's just really difficult to find things that fit in a very specific criteria that the kids will be interested in and engaged in as well. So AI can help with creating lesson plans that are more engaging and that adhere to criteria, because I don't know all the curriculum's criteria, obviously. So it can be a great tool for creating something that adheres to specific requirements and interests. Next is how to properly utilize AI. And afterwards, Agos is gonna talk about this way more in depth and way better than I can. But there are two things that can improve people's use of AI. When a lot of people prompt with AI, they don't really include the amount of information that they should be. Like they'll just be like, "Oh, write me an essay about blah blah blah," or like, "Tell me about this." But it should have basically as much context as you can include because AI will make assumptions and it's also really ambitious, as you said, and it will just like go like 9 yards and it'll just like take what you said and run with it, even if that's maybe not exactly what you were trying to say. So including a lot of context is helpful in not having AI make any assumptions as to what you want. Also, it's very important to include specifics, like be very specific in what you want instead of being vague and giving general prompts. Add so much context and be as specific as possible when prompting with AI because it will just go wherever it feels like or wherever it thinks you want it to go. But it's important that it like knows what you want it to do specifically. Okay, I said specifically a lot in that sentence. But anyway, Agos is gonna pick it up from here and talk in more depth as to how to properly use AI. If all right.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Morgan. Afternoon, everyone. I know some of you maybe joined after. My name is Agosa. I am part of the board of EOT. That's the night job. The day job is managed manufacturing companies, and we really do focus on how to get the best out of AI. So today I'm really just going to talk about two main things when it comes to getting the best out of the AI tools. One is prompt engineering, which is, using the craft model, making sure that you're getting the best response out of AI by asking the question in the best way possible. And the second is using context engineering, which is giving the AI enough context to stay within guided lanes of what you want it to deliver. So when it comes to prompt engineering, really the craft model is the best way to think about approaching the problem. In our breakout room, we spoke about a variety of challenges with AI and also opportunities. And one of the things that I took away from it is you need to know how you're asking the question to know what you want to get out of it. So the first being context. Setting the scene for AI really does help it better understand how to answer your questions. If you're working on an engineering problem, you might need to give a context about what the nature of the problem is, how the problem came to be, and what driving factors are causing the issues you're trying to solve. Expecting the AI to address the problem leads to assumptions. And when you start having too many assumptions, you're moving away from the solution and towards a different type of problem. So context is really one of the most important parts about prompting. The second is assigning a role. If you give 5 different people with 5 different skill sets the exact same problem, you're going to end up with 5 different solutions. If you don't choose the role of the person you want the AI to embody, then you might get a solution that's more tailored towards one persona versus another. And so defining who the AI should emulate, or maybe giving context into how you want it to approach things. For example, if I'm reviewing legal documents, I say act as a lawyer based in Ontario. Ontario is the context for the legal code to follow. Lawyer is the lens that I wanted to use to attack the document. And then speaking of attack, we move on to action, which is stating what exactly you want the AI to do. Do you want it to give you a lesson plan? Do you want it to come up with suggestions? Do you want it to analyze? Do you want it to research? The action can be a variety of functions, but stating clearly what you want the outcome to look like helps the AI give you better results. and then function, which is defining what the output structure should be upfront. If I gave the whole team access to my AI logs, you find that I'm a framework thinker. That's just how my brain works. So quite often I'm asking my AI to give me results in a framework format with a lot of bullet points. That's not for everybody. Some people might like when it does extended essays and it gives you all the context so you can then pick apart the parts that matter to you. So really defining the function is important so that when you do get the output, it's structured the way you best consume information. The final one is tone, which is making sure that you're matching the demeanor to your audience. You want the results to match how you want to receive it. And so if you're technical and you want a lot of detail, you ask it to have a very professional tone and facts only. But if you're doing something more creative, then you might want it to be more playful and throw in some out of the ordinary ideas or suggestions, sort of thinking outside the box. And so using the craft method, you're able to really set the scene for how you want the AI to approach the problem. So a perfect example, maybe not perfect for this room, but an example that I gave earlier about how I've used AI is I have a little niece. She is learning her values. She's learning about politeness. She's learning about kindness. And these are all principles and values that I want her to carry on in her life. But in trying to teach her those values, I've had to find concepts that are important to her and relevant to her. And so I've used AI as a way to pass on those values by crafting the values I'm trying to share with what matters to her. And what matters to her at that age? Paw Patrol. So the values that I'm trying to share with her are how to say please, how to say thank you, how to make sure that you're caring for one another. Now, I don't know every single Paw Patrol episode. If you quiz me, I probably know a lot more about Friends and a few other 90s TV shows, but still, I want to tailor it to the audience. And so I was able to use the craft method to find Paw Patrol episodes that emulate the values that I want. And it went as far as finding exact storylines and exact scenes. So in between episodes, I'm quizzing her on what happened in that episode and what her takeaway should be as a way to then further imprint those values into her. So that's an idea of how I'm using AI, even in my personal life, to pass on good values. Moving on to the next slide, I think we had the context engineering. This kind of ties into my story earlier about Paw Patrol, that being a form of context that I told the AI to help emulate values. But really, with context engineering, you want to allow the model know what you know, or at least have insight into what you know. And why does it matter? It matters because it cuts hallucinations. As we've already mentioned on this call, when you give the right context, AI works within a bounded layer, and it goes away from the idea of trying to find trends where they don't exist. For anybody who is early in their engineering career, or maybe further along in their engineering career, you either will or at some point have come across linear algebra. And what you need to realize is that AI is really just clustering around linear algebra. You're vectorizing a data space, and in that data space, you have clustering that happens, and AI is trying to find a pattern within that clustering. So when you give context, you're able to reshape the data space to improve the accuracy of where the clustering should happen. And that's what context engineering does. I don't want to make this too technical, but I'm hoping that gives a bit of an idea as to why it's important to give context and also now ensure that you're prompting properly, because you're shaping where that vector shape actually occurs and what clusters appear in the data space. So 5 sources of context. What are the background facts? The background facts is my niece is 3 years old. What's the reference material? Paw Patrol. What are examples of things I want to instill in her? Saying please, saying thank you, cleaning up, checking in on you, not being so self-centered. And through its conversation history and its retrieval knowledge, these are maybe past conversations I've had with it, so it understands my personality a little bit, and also knowledge that it has about the broader world. I'm sure it can go and look up every single Paw Patrol transcript and, research and figure it out. It's able to use those 5 sources to then provide a more tailored response. Now, some of the common pitfalls are being lost in the middle. So sometimes you're asking AI a question and you have all your important facts buried somewhere in the middle of your prompt. That often causes hallucination. It's really important that when you're making your prompt, you're kind of doing it like a feedback sandwich. You want the positivity at the top and the positivity at the bottom, and the criticism in the middle, meaning that you want to start with the most important facts, the context in the body, and the most important facts in terms of what action it needs to take at the bottom. That will give you a much better result. So I think if you combine the craft model of doing the right prompts with the context engineering of giving the right information to work within, you'll get much better results out of AI, and you'll be able to make significantly more impact than I'm sure you can even imagine. That's it for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, Agosa. That was, for me, really insightful. I really enjoyed that model that I can take and apply. The sandwich piece was really insightful. Yeah. Again, I'm Ben, for those who haven't met me. I'm the other summer intern. But yeah, I just want to turn your eyes to this image right here. And this was generated with AI a couple months ago by our team. And it was generated because of a problem we were trying to work around, where we wanted to showcase our future cities and we wanted to showcase these beautiful creations by the students. However, with privacy laws and with these students not wanting to show their faces, which is totally understandable, we couldn't show the photos. So we uploaded them to AI, and the AI took the photos and changed all their faces, so it's actually not the students in the same students in the classroom, but it kept all the same cities and kept all this information as well. And so it allowed us to create this pamphlet, this brochure, explaining all what we do and giving examples. And then we were able to send this out and show real, tangible what we do and how it looks and what the practical side of the Future Cities program is. I don't know if you guys know it yet, but we run a program called the Future Cities, where we have a design challenge, and students from around grade 6 to 8, they spend months designing, and then we have a whole showcase at the end of it, and it's a great big opportunity for the classrooms, and it's just amazing. It's a lot of fun for the kids as well. Just a personal piece, like I got to see these in person because my mom's actually a teacher, and so she went through this whole program with EOT, and she did this Future City program, and it just, the way the kids were so diving in, so focused on this, was just amazing. But yeah, so like this is a really good example of using AI to overcome boundaries and overcome problems that you wouldn't be able to solve otherwise, in that sense. But yeah, so on to the next slide. The difficulty with AI in a classroom. So yeah, most people, most teachers, I would find, would have a strict no AI policy. And I think this really stems from the idea that the kids are using AI improperly, and they are using it in a good sense to help them learn and help them grow. It's replacing their critical thinking skills. And that's really the problem here, is where the students are offloading all that mental load onto AI so that they don't have to, do the work, get around the work, that idea. Because it's easier, and it's easy to take the easy path, but that doesn't get you anywhere. That doesn't learn you anything. And so for the kids and for getting into that idea of learning and growing and what school is all about, it's hard because this AI provides a way out for that. But on the other side, it's such an amazing tool, and I think that's really important to set the clear expectations. That AI is a tool; it's not that replacement for learning. It's kind of the same idea of uh, Agosi, you were talking a little bit about matrices, but like take linear algebra. You might get a computer to run your matrix and diagonalize a matrix or whatever, but it's not. But you understand the underlying concepts and you know how to do that, and I think that's really important for students to understand where you can use this tool, and we use these tools every day, but we understand what's behind them and how it's done. It's used to streamline the process in that sense, and I think Maureen, you were talking about how using AI to study. I think that's a great way and of course there's the problem with I can't remember what it's called, the guessing of AI and hallucinations. Thank you so much. AI hallucinations, but it's a great tool you give it a set of context, you give it the problems, the worksheets you've been working on throughout the whole year, and it helps you study for exams, for finals, whatever. And I really want to stress this point that you may have different views on AI than the teacher does. You may absolutely love it, or you may absolutely hate it. That's entirely personal for you. But when you're going into a teacher's classroom, it is that teacher's classroom. And so whatever that teacher says on AI, that goes. And that is super important for the kids learning as well, because this teacher is spending hours and hours and hours being with these kids, learning, growing, forming them, and building these relationships. And when you come in as a professional, as someone who knows a lot of stuff, and you say something contradictory to the teacher, that kind of slashes all that progress that teacher's been making for so many weeks, months, years, whatever. And yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. You can pop to the next slide there. But yeah, and again, kind of harping on the AI isn't there to replace the students' learning, because learning is the whole point of what school is, right? And this tool, this amazing tool that you can get so much done with, and it's so powerful, has the ability to replace that learning, and it will replace that learning if we're not careful in that. But yeah, for you guys, you guys are planning lesson plans, and that's a great use of AI and planning and getting insight, because AI has so much insight and so much knowledge about how teachers operate, how teachers act, and how that you can form a lesson plan on that and send it to the teacher and see what they think. But at the end of it all, the most important thing is that communication with your teacher. Going back to our other training sessions, that building connections, where the most important thing is communication and understanding your teacher's expectations for everything, not just AI, but especially for AI, and just to align with that teacher's curriculum and what they're doing. But I think before we head into Q&A, one sentence to sum it up, just to kind of stick in your brain, is that people are the ones that are solving the problems, and then AI is the tool that's helping them. AI isn't the one that's solving the problems, it's the people. Yeah, and AI helps us do it more effectively. But yeah, so I want to jump in now to a Q&A session. We got about 15 minutes. Totally feel free to jump off now. Thank you so much for everyone for listening, and also thank you so much for this entire time, for all the training sessions you've attended to. I have loved hearing your insight and your wisdom and your input throughout this whole time. This is our last training session. If you guys want to review, if this is your first one here, you can review all the previous ones. We have them all uploaded to our EOT YouTube, and they're super insightful. I know, even preparing these for me, I've learned so much, and I'm sure Morgan can say the same as well. But yeah, no, just thank you guys so much for your time, and I'll open the floor to you guys and what you want, and if you have any burning questions, if you have any thoughts you want to share about what we've talked about today, please feel free. But if not, take your 14 minutes back.
Before you jump off, I wanted to just quickly add one thing. This amazing team has actually put together what we call an AI toolkit. So all of the things that were suggested and recommended by everyone in Agosa in particular was really key in this. We've come up with some templates, some things you can copy and paste for your context, some reference documents that you can upload if you do want to create a custom GPT to really get high quality responses from your interaction with AI. So I'll put a link to that in the chat here, and then it will also we'll send it out, or we'll make sure it's available so that you have access to that. But thanks. Thank you so much.
I just want to jump in. I really appreciate all the things that Agosa said, and that last comment from you, Ben, that's really meaningful to me. It's the people that solve the problems, not the model. I love how the things I've seen engineers do with these models is really impressive to me. I see a lot of students using the models to ask it quiz me and help me to take my notes and build them into flashcards and that kind of thing for students. And I just really appreciate how that engineering mindset works really well with AI when you think of it as a tool, and to really frame it into that craft model that you shared ago. So that's really meaningful to me. I think that's really helpful that when you're thinking about prompting, all the different ways you can really make it into that tool versus just having it spit out an answer that may or may not be a hallucination. So thank you too to Morgan, really helpful things to be thinking about as we're using these tools. One thing I'll add that we didn't talk about really explicitly is when you're using a model to think about an activity to do in the classroom, we did talk about using reference documents and references to really orient it into specifically what you're thinking about. It's really easy to tell a model, hey, look at the Ontario curriculum for grade 4 or whatever it is that you're in the classroom for. Maybe it's the BC curriculum, and it can really target that specific curriculum. And maybe you say, I want to do an engineering activity related to, say, civil engineering with this curriculum. And it can really triangulate that using the algebraic vector system. So that got my brain going. There's some really specific things you can do with it. Sorry, that's a long-winded thing to add, but I was just really inspired by all the things you all said about using it as a tool. So super cool.
And I would add to that, besides, because we do often get asked, what should I do? But to add to that, and I think, Agosa, you got me thinking with your, using it to try and create these experiences with your little niece. So it's not just about it's the Ontario curriculum for this particular grade, but also how do you make it engaging? How do you use the things that we've recommended, the storytelling, the connections? How do you build that in? It can really help with that. And you'll see if you do check out the toolkit that we have, the context that we recommend you giving it is lengthy, and it includes, it's sort of embedded into that context as well. it's fun times. I wanted to also add that, you know, I was thinking about Ben's point of like, you know, honoring what the teacher, being respectful of how they're using it in their classroom. These are unprecedented times. You're showing up as a human. You know, we tell you human first approach. Tell us about your experiences too. This is a pilot. This is the first time we're starting to talk about this. I don't expect it will be the last time. So please keep us in the loop on how this is showing up for you in your EIR experience too. We wanna learn more. And thanks again, Agosa, for making time today. I really appreciate that. Awesome. We're happy to hang around for a few more minutes if anyone wants to chat, has any questions, thoughts.
And if you don't have any questions, feel free to take back 15 minutes or so of your time, or 10 minutes or around of your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you.